Hello and welcome to
Hello and
the
welcome to the
100.
Gochuucast.
I can see what kind of night this is going to be. All right.
It's
Welcome to
not gonna be that kind of night.
welcome
I
to the
just wanted a little prank.
127th episode of the Gochuucast. Yeah, that's like probably the first time the intro's ever been interrupted, and so I'm honestly surprised it took 127 episodes for that to happen.
It's a little surprising I haven't tried to do that bit before. I forgot the number though. That's on me, L.
Yeah, but I mean, this is probably your first time inebriated on the air, so
It was poker night. I lost all my money. I lost the house, the kids, everything. And by that I mean it was a $20 buy-in. That's it. I lost a Benji? Is that who's on the $20 bill?
I think Benjamin isn't he
No,
Leonard?
it's Andrew Jackson.
$20 bill president. It is Andrew Jackson, yes.
Fuck Andrew Jackson. That's fair. I don't need Andrew Jackson's. Wasn't Andrew Jackson the shitbag?
I'm pretty sure
Wasn't he the one that was
he
like
was
super
about.
corrupt?
I think he was gonna get impeached, but then like corruption happened and he didn't get impeached. Not even just like impeached, like removed entirely. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else.
I'm pretty sure you're right. Isn't he the one that like?
Yeah,
Maybe it's not. Maybe it was.
Andrew Johnson, not Andrew Jackson.
Okay, Andrew Johnson's the. Okay, gotcha. He's the one that was like, "Hey, friends, come be powerful." Anyway, hello and welcome to the 127th episode of Gochuucast.
We've already said that, but yes, this
We
is an
talk about anime.
anime with a asterisk mark. Spat's gone this week. You usually rely on him for like at least 10 to 20 minutes of content, and now it's kind of gone. We're slackers.
I watched one thing, so I've pulled my weight.
I've watched two things, so we're gonna have to see how that gets us to an hour. I'm sure we'll find some hijinks to talk about on the way.
I mean, in my current state, it's a
Chance.
decent chance. I watched the One Piece fan letter. Yes, One Piece filler. I mean, it's filler is like a weird word to associate with it, right? Um,
I don't know if I call it. I mean, I don't know all the details. I don't want to call it filler though.
so the fan letter is who wrote this? It's like a little light novel series. Um, Tomohito Usaki. What has he written? He just writes shit.
It's kind of
Some
goofy that
Gintama
it's
thingies
sitting
here.
like number two on the anime top list on Mel, even though it's like a
Yes,
little special thing, but it'd be like that.
is a little special thing. It's hard to like, because I don't want to say too much because one day Daniel will experience One Piece. I don't want to like mega spoil things, right?
Right.
Um, this is like I think exactly what it needed to be in the sense that it's if you're a One Piece fan, this is perfect. It's just like a little like so basically the fan letter is some short stories of just characters in the universe that have been in some way like inspired or related to various members of the Straw Hats.
Right.
So like one of the central characters of the fan letter special is this I think she's 15. I think I remember seeing that because people were talking about how One Piece ages are funny because she looks like a child. And
Anime moment.
but then it's like she's 15 and looks like a child, and then it had like a 16-year-old next to her that looked like a full-grown adult, and then like a 20-year-old that also looked like a child. Definitely anime moment. But like one of the central characters is this like 15-year-old redhead girl that's just like inspired by Nami and her existence. It's just like nice because it's showing like some other characters that are in some way inspired or related to the Straw Hats in like pivotal moments of like the Straw Hats journey. And it was like I did think it was funny. Some people were posting some reviews that were put on Mal. That was people being like, "Yeah, if you're a One Piece fan, you'd probably like this, but if you're not a One Piece fan, it doesn't do anything." And it's like, yeah, it's called One Piece fan letter. Of course, if you're not a One Piece fan, this is not going to do anything for you. But it's
Yeah,
good. They had some really good um people in the staff doing stuff, so it's like it looks really good, really polished, and it's just like a nice little special that happened. But I enjoyed it. It was pretty much everything that I could have expected a little just like One Piece side project to do. And since One Piece anime is on a like fairly long hiatus, I don't remember exactly how long, but I want to say it's like 6 months
yeah, I think I remember
until like
hearing 6 months.
April-ish. And
Feel
then
a lot
they're
of
gonna be doing stuff, but
yeah,
they're it sounds like they're gonna do more like things like this, or we obviously have the Wit remake. I don't know if that's planned to happen before April. Probably not. They're planning to like remaster slash rework some of the little middle arcs. Because obviously one of the things people say a lot about One Piece is the pacing, and don't get me wrong, the pacing gets really bad, and so they kind of have like a little mini project happening where they're going to take some of those arcs where the pacing's like super bad in the second half of the story and just kind of like shorten them.
yeah. I saw a lot of Twitter memes where like One Piece fans like, oh my god, it's like such an awful time to be a One Piece fan. Everyone's like, you fucking kidding me? Like, you have 1,000 episodes of an anime. Your anime is getting remade even though it's still airing. You have the manga. I mean, it's on hiatus or whatever, but like it's still kicking. You get the One Piece fan letter. You get all this shit, and you're complaining. Meanwhile, people out here getting like 12 episodes of their niche favorite series, and then they'll never see another episode ever again. But yeah,
Yeah. And One Piece goes on a 6 month break and they're like, hey, guess what we're gonna do during that 6 months is we're gonna just have a bunch of fun shit.
yeah. One
Um
Piece goes on 6 month break, and it's like, oh my god, life is over. And, like I see a 6 month break for an anime that I enjoy. I'm like, oh my god, it's only 6 months. Thank fuck. Like,
yeah, right. I also just think in today's day and age, especially with a lot of the like pressures and opinions on like really high quality animation, it's hard to be a weekly series. And like One Piece lately has put out some really good episodes, but it's still a weekly series. So I imagine the strain of like keeping up quality with seasonals probably is really bad.
I mean, I would imagine they probably have like a much bigger like task force, obviously, but like at a
Yeah.
certain point, it's like, fuck, man, we put out like X amount of bangers in a row. Like, we need to relax a little bit and take a step back. Let the manga breathe. Let the anime breathe. Let the workers breathe and just exist. Yeah, I'll watch it one day. This podcast probably won't. By the time One Piece gets to a point where I start reading it, this podcast may not exist anymore. So it's like, who knows? But if we're still kicking, then I'll talk about it in X amount of
It's
years.
hard to say because like we've talked about it on here before, and it's we don't necessarily have like a pressure to keep it going or end it at any point in time. We're just kind of
It's like
like
just a feel thing at
shooting the
this
shit.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like technically at any point we could just be like, well, we've had fun, but also we could just end up shooting the shit for years just because why not?
Yeah, like we could get to like 200, I could be like, all right, guys, good run, we're done. Or I could get to 200 and be like, I guess we can keep going. No reason to stop. Like the only pathways that would lead to this being removed would either be one of our members committing some heinous act, and so we need to like, kick someone off the show, or
How
uh,
heinous are we thinking?
like I can't talk to you anymore, Hades.
I see. I see.
Which
That's hard
I don't foresee
because it's
happening.
like, yeah, we just generally chill. So I'm like, what would that even
Or
take?
one of us would have to get like so like busy with life, whether that be by success
That's the one
or
that I could see
suffering.
happening,
Yeah, that is the much more
especially
likely route.
especially with Spatula getting like a pretty nice job and the stuff he wants to do. And it's like I don't necessarily think he'll get that busy, but I'm like I can see that being something where it's like he just doesn't have time anymore.
Yeah. I
Not
think
necessarily now,
on
but further down the
on
road
a technical
potentially.
level, like we'll probably always have like some level of time. It's just a matter of like how worth it is like using that time for an anime podcast that doesn't really benefit us in any way other than just shooting the shit for like an hour-ish.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, but this week, and by this week I mean like 30 minutes ago, I watched the first episode of Love Live Superstar, third season.
I haven't yet because my ReZero group watch is also my Love Live Superstar watch, and we failed to watch ReZero for 2 weeks in a row. So we've definitely not watched Superstar yet.
Yeah, so those two shows are gonna be in the mud as far as in that case.
It's kind of a bad excuse because technically speaking, the person who has failed to show up 2 weeks in a row is not part of the Superstar watch. So like we could have just watched Superstar,
Yeah.
but we
I
were all in on ReZero.
I only watched
Plus
the
we're like,
go ahead.
yeah, there's like some cost in it too, right? Like if we're waiting for ReZero and we start Superstar and then the ReZero guy shows up, then it's like, well fuck, we're halfway through Superstar now.
Yeah. But yeah, I watched episode one. It's interested. I don't know if I 100% expected this. I kind of did. Like I like enough Love Live fan art that Love Live talk gets onto my timeline, and so I heard other people just kind of knew already from like game stuff maybe, or they were like speculating like, yeah, this is probably like based on trailers, like this will be the what's it called? Because I didn't watch any trailers for this. I just knew that we were gonna get two new people into the team.
Mhm.
Um,
I know nothing still about this Superstar season.
yeah. So I mean, if you don't mind knowing the
I
plot
don't really.
line, so
I'm gonna
basically,
see it at some point anyway.
yeah. I mean, I can't spoil, but I just know the baseline plot that they set up in episode one. So obviously, what we learned at the end of season two, Canon did not get to go abroad yet. That has been delayed because they need to keep her here for season three. So now instead of rejoining Liella, Margaret has created her own group because she's petty and does well. I don't know if I call it petty. She lost to Leo, and she's like, "Fuck." She didn't want to be
Yeah.
like she didn't want to be like Kevin Durant, right? Like lose and then go to the Warriors. She didn't want to do that, so she makes her own things. Like I'm just gonna beat you all, and that'll like be enough to prove myself. And then
But at
kind
the
of
same school?
yeah, at the same school, she makes a new idol
Okay.
club, the New School Idol Club, and so Canon is like really fucking awkward to rejoin Leola. And also, I'm supposed to teach this girl how to sing, and also, I would like for all of us to be friends. And so, Canon's master plan is to like join Margaret's group and kind of like help her improve a bit, and then like the competition, the rivalry should like help everyone improve. And then she like in the end wants everyone to be like one big team, and so that's obviously where this is gonna go because they're dancing together
Yeah.
in the opening. So,
Because it's Love Live.
and it's Love Live, yeah.
We're
But
gonna
yeah,
start with some conflict.
for right now, it's looking like it's gonna be Kenon, Margaret, and then I assume the new girl Tomari is gonna be joining their little group. And by assume, I mean I know because I saw a clip of them singing. I didn't listen to it though. I'm just gonna let that happen whenever I actually watch the episode that happens in. But should be interesting. I don't know what Tomari's singing voice is gonna be like, but I know I like Kenon, and then I don't like Margaret as a character, but I like her singing, and so I feel like only three people in a group, like I might like their group better than our main protagonist group, but we'll see. As like a unit anyway. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
I do think Superstar. Uh, I think Leela as a group got worse as more people got added, but I mean that's just a personal opinion. I have no
I think
particular.
Superstar season 1 had like a really fun, healthy-ish amount,
Yeah,
and
I think
then
five is like fine enough for it to be like its own thing, and then like it's not too bloated, right?
yeah, it was comfy. It was one of the smaller Love Live groups at that point,
Yeah,
if not the smallest that like
the smallest. I'm not counting
was
like the
essential.
solos,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like we're not counting the
the
Saint
Niji
Snows and
groups,
the
and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But then it just ballooned, and I get the appeal of let's have a big group because it gets everyone like a favorite more or less. I think that's kind of the idea. It's like, oh, if we have a group of 10, then like everyone's gonna have one that they like.
yeah. Or even it's just like it's more marketable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I liked the 5 group.
I definitely like the five better. I didn't like hate season two's group or anything. I doubt I'm gonna hate this group either.
Hmm.
It's just I definitely it's getting to the point where like there's just a lot of appreciation I have for what Niji does now versus the other ones, which I already did because it is considerably different than all of them. But yeah, I mean this is gonna be what I would have assumed this is gonna be the last season of Superstar. So
Probably.
I'll be interested to see what they do after Superstar is done, and then like because I would imagine this theatrical trilogy for Niji is gonna finish it. So
Yes. What do we know? Because technically the first one of that came out, right?
the first movie did come out, and then the second one
I
is
think we talked about this,
slated
didn't we?
for 2025 at some point. So I don't know if it like I don't know if they've said this is like the end, but I would imagine maybe
I would think
they can only
so.
keep this one school year going for so long, like
Love Live is eternal. They'll just Pokemon it. If you never acknowledge the fact that the school year has to end, then it never has to end.
time has been at a standstill for. I wonder if you added up all because like they probably still pretend Ash is 10 or whatever. I wonder if you added up all the days that pass by in Pokemon if like you like
Like the
force them to
canon days.
acknowledge. Yeah,
Yeah. This
like
just reminded me of the do you ever hear or see the end of the Fairly Odd Parents like plotline? I don't
uh
remember if this was real or if this was theory. I think this was a real
I'm
episode.
pretty sure it's just a theory that Timmy has been like
Is it?
living the yeah.
I thought it was like the last episode,
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I'm
but
not.
I don't know.
I didn't watch that. Like at
Hold
some
on, hold on,
point,
hold on.
like I don't know. Like eventually they added like a dog into the show, and then they added like
Second
another
episode of
protagonist.
season Second episode of season 8, hour-long special. Seventh and final animated TV movie in the series. Trying to read this to see if this was. I think this is like a canon thing that it was like Timmy Turner at one point made a wish that was basically just nobody grows up at all.
I
Anyone.
see. I mean, maybe it's like a plot. I don't think that's been like a long running thing, maybe, but like the closest thing
Probably.
I can remember to that is like the Drake Bell Timmy Turner shit, where he like it just is held back in fifth grade for like 15 years, which
Uh-huh.
aged poorly, but you know.
Doesn't everything age poorly these days, it feels like?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have slated Drake Bell as a sexual predator, but it happened, so.
Here we are.
I mean, granted, he also went through a lot of abuse at Nickelodeon, which probably is what fueled that for him, because psychology and stuff, but that, it's still not okay, so. Anyway, that's not anime podcast. We don't need to talk about.
It's
We don't
not
need to talk
anything
about
funny.
the long history of Nickelodeon's
I just
programs.
remember hearing that there was like a Fairly Odd Parents plotline, and I didn't watch the show to the conclusion, so it looks like it's real, but I can't tell.
I
That
mean,
there was some episode that was basically like, yeah, at some point in time, Timmy made a wish that was like, yeah, nobody grows up for 50 years.
what I think we're actually going to learn at the end of Superstar is that when you win Love Live twice, you actually get a wish, and that's what Superstar is going to be about at
Ah,
the end. Because no, we haven't seen a group win Love Live twice. No one's repeated. They all like
yeah, that
break
is
up.
true.
They all
They all
win Love
end.
Live and then break up. Like, it's the only group that has a chance for a repeat.
I hope we three-peat just for the culture.
I don't think they physically can three-peat at this point. I mean, they could. The group could technically
I
as
mean,
part of it.
yeah, like a portion
In
of the group
name
can.
only. It's not the
The
same though.
actual group cannot three-peat.
Yeah, it's not the same.
That'll be the next Love Live group.
That was
I
also
don't
the like
actually
interesting
know.
part with like only the five of them. Like they were all in the same year or whatever, and so they're like growing through this together. And then now you have the classic like underclassmen. They're gonna get left
Yeah,
behind.
underclassmen. Well, that's like what they all do is eventually add.
Underclass. I mean, it makes sense. It is a natural progression of school year, new people, new team members. But
I don't know what like Love Live groups are left.
define left.
Like to adapt. Like I was just kind of like, I
I
wonder if
mean,
we'll get
there's like
another.
the one they have on YouTube or whatever, the link like shit. Where they could like
Yeah,
make
that's
that an
true.
anime. But otherwise, they're just have to start making shit up probably. I mean, Love Live
Oh,
is
there's yeah. This is the
Hanu Sora or whatever.
Hasuna Sora
Yeah,
Girls High School Idol Club. I guess that probably would be the next one.
yeah,
That makes the most sense. Or they just don't for a little bit.
yeah. I guess.
Which is kind of fair, but at the same time, I imagine Love Live does pretty well.
Yeah,
I don't know. The games constantly are coming in and out of existing,
that's different
and
though. You
but
know.
they also print anime, so it's like
Yeah.
I can't really get a good grasp on like is Love Live successful or not.
I would imagine
I
Love
think
Live
it
would
is.
not have four different Love Lives, all with multiple
If
seasons.
it wasn't
All
successful, I would agree.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of, like, if they didn't adapt a new group, is if they took Niji and just like, okay, the third years are gone, but we still got enough. We got enough characters, and they're also like solo basically. Because I'm trying to think of like how the groups are put together. Is I a third year or second year? I want to say second.
I
No,
think
she's in
she's
a.
the
I think she's second. I was gonna say that her and Karen are like third years, like so their group being gone wouldn't be like a big problem, but it would be because I think Karen's third year, Emma's
Karen's
third
definitely a
year,
third year.
uh, because of reasons. Fuck, what's her name?
It's also hard to like with shows like this because like
Mia's a
sports
third
anime
year
have this
technically.
issue too, right? Like eventually the upperclassmen have to graduate, and
Yeah,
then you're left with the dilemma of do you just make it like a flash in the pan, like Team of Destiny type story, or do you age up the group and acknowledge that like your third years are going to graduate and you're going to get new like first years and stuff like that. You see this in sports a lot where it's like I can think of a lot of sports anime, Haikyuu for example, um, is all just in a single year right now, right?
yeah,
And it's at some point the third years have to graduate and be done, and the tournament has to end. But then it becomes a question of does the story continue without them, or does the story say like, okay, this was our like magical year, or at
right.
least like our narrative year. And like most of the love lives have just accepted that like their calling card is their central group, and so once their year is done, then getting rid of characters and adding new ones is just not quite going to do it. Whereas in like the sports anime that do that tend to have like a central character or two that is a first year or a second year, and it's like they just focus more on them later on.
Yeah. What you could do with Niji, I mean, it would ruin some of the like the uniqueness of it, but like you have all the third years leave, and then like everyone's like, oh fuck, our groups are like in an awkward spot now, except for like a couple of them because they don't have third years, like Oz and Land or whatever. They don't have a third year. Um, I think I don't remember all the group names. Anyway,
One thing that like one
you
of
just have them
the
come together as one big group and actually compete for Love Live. Maybe I don't know.
it's also like the idea of like the group becoming, and it like goes against the school idol philosophy. So like I don't think Love Live would really do it. But, like the group, going beyond like the school level and becoming professional, right? That was like kind of the plot of one of the movies, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. It wasn't, but it also kind of was. But it's
Okay,
like we talked about Idly Pride a few times randomly on the podcast, and like Idly Pride is not about like a high school idol group. It's about like
professional.
quote professional idols, and like the idol masters are all like more professional side, and so it's like I think Love Live is pretty comfortable where it's at with the like high school girls angle, and just saying like, oh, we'll just make a new group of like high schoolers that are gonna win Love Live. But it would be kind of interesting to see a group like Liella, for example, or Accors have like a professional arc. Obviously, instead they say, what if we just break the group up because life must
Reasons.
go on? Yeah,
It is fun. Like in the original Love Live, it's like literally like A is like, hey guys, so our management group is like, you can totally like be professionals with us,
you
and they're
can
like,
totally do it. Yeah.
nah. It's like, oh, okay, well, there goes
Well,
that,
it's also like they set up the things in an interesting way because like Superstar Liella, for example, they've already kind of set canon off as like potentially her future is a career in music, but maybe not as an idol, right?
Yeah, I mean, like in Superstar, like the idea is she's still there for one more year, but she will like get into that music program or whatever. They're just doing goofy shit because rich people
Because
meddled. I don't
yeah,
know.
so it's just like even Superstar has already set up the fact that it's like Liella is not going to go pro, and that's fine. Well, probably not going to go pro. Anything can change,
Yeah,
but it's still I don't know. It would be interesting with some of those groups to see like kind of the evolution of both levels, as opposed to like this is the high school level show and then this is the quote professional level show, even though they're usually still like high schoolish age.
yeah. I guess the other thing I watched, I actually watched this last week, but I forgot to bring it up because I'm dumb. But I started the fifth season of Danmachi, so I'm a few episodes into that.
Nice. I did watch one episode. This is like right after it aired when I watched the first episode.
Yeah, so
I
uh,
was saying some stuff in call to Mars about episode 1, and I don't think I'm like have caught on to what is actually going on, but I was definitely saying things that he was like, stop thinking, because eventually you're gonna stumble on the actual plot.
yeah,
I'm like,
so
okay, fair enough.
episode 4 was kind of wild in terms of something that happened. Um, I how I feel about what happened will highly depend upon what happens throughout. I got
Further
spoiled.
on.
I got
Yep.
spoiled on what happened in this episode like a while ago. And so now that I'm spoiler free, I'm like, fuck. I thought this was gonna be like an end of season thing. Like, where do we go? Where do we go? How's this?
Yeah.
Or how's this arc around this specific reveal like going to last until 15 episodes? which like maybe it doesn't, but I mean the season's been marketed kind of like as one arc, and so I don't really know like I don't know
What
where
that?
it's gonna
Yeah.
go. I don't know like how we develop a full story from this. But I guess I'll find out. Um, but yeah, I think it is a lot of like if this is the setup, I'm very interested to see what like the payoff
What happens
is
next? Yeah.
because that's like a lot of what like season four's first part was like really big setup, and then like the second half of season four was like everything just happening at once that's been set up, and so it was just a great ride. And so I'm interested to see within these 15 episodes how everything goes down. But I've enjoyed it so far. Whether or not I'll enjoy more than season four will to be determined. But for right now, it's interesting for sure.
Hopefully, because I don't think I have anything planned tomorrow from the day that this recorded. So hopefully, by the time this actually airs, I'll have gotten to see some more of Blue Box, some more of Don to Don, and then more Danmachi because I'm have been watching those with Mars.
Yeah, I wish Blue Box wouldn't be like technically airing today and then like actually release
And
like
then actually,
later.
yeah,
It just bothers me on my Annulus because I'm
I
like
hate seeing the
on
red.
on
Yeah,
in my technical term, I'm technically caught up. Like it bothers me that I'm
but it
behind.
shows that you're one behind.
Yeah, because it's airing, and then I mean I could watch like fan subs or whatever, but I'm not like. I mean, I've read the manga. I need to like catch up just so like the because I feel like that with 25 episodes, the anime should blow past where I stopped. So I need to get moving on that again at some point.
I think that's true. I don't remember exactly where you stopped,
I
but I
was
feel
like
like it'll pass you.
40s, 50s, and this is gonna be 25 episodes. So this shit's passing me. Like there's no end ifs or buts about it. It's passing me. I don't know how many or chapters it's doing in an episode, but I doubt it's like you know two. So I would imagine it's probably getting like 3 to 4 chapters, maybe. Maybe I don't know if I can know. I don't remember.
It's
I don't
it's
remember
hard.
the chapter count.
Yeah, it's hard to say because
I
it's
guess.
neither really straight romance or action. Where it's like I feel like romances adapt kind of slow, and then like sports lets action adapt kind of fast. And this is more like somewhere in between, where I'm feel like it's probably I think like 2 to 3 chapters.
Gosh, is Blue Box in the 170s now? Fuck, dude. I let this like
It is
go for a
quite
while.
long.
When I got to like let me see exactly where I was at. I stopped at 49. When I was at 49, there were like a little over 100 chapters, I think, and now I'm behind. I'm behind as a bitch, as a motherfucker. Let's see. I'm trying to see where the anime I've watched 4 episodes of. Oh, this might be almost exactly where I needed to look. Okay, so chapter episode 4 ended at the start of probably like the end of episode 12. So they're going like 3.
Chapter 12, yeah.
Chapter 1 extended. I don't this is what it says on
Uh, it
page count.
might be.
Usually like the chapter 1s are extended or whatever. Okay, yeah, I'm scrolling through this. This shit's definitely extended.
I
So
also
yeah.
feel like even if they weren't, like chapter one is a fairly like chapter one slash episode one. A lot of times, even if you adapt a little slower, it's nice just because chapter one tend to have some sort of cliffhanger hook that would also be good for an episode one.
Yeah, episode 1 only did chapter 1, but since then
Since then, it's been
they
like
are now
three
up
ish.
to 12, yeah, so it's like around 3 to 4 per episode. So yeah.
That feels about
It's gonna absolutely blow past where I was. So I need to catch up at some point. Or at least get further ahead than where I am.
good.
Whether or not
Well,
that'll
except for the
actually
part that's kind
happen.
of bad. You're gonna catch up, and there's gonna be a specific section where you're like, yeah, it's kind of fallen off. Just keep going. You'll get back.
Yeah, I would
We
see
lost we
on
lost the
like
plot for a little bit.
I would see on Twitter like every now and then like people like fuck dude Blue Box sucks right now, and then it'd pick back. I'm like, yeah, it's like, oh my god, we're so back, and then start to suck again. People would start complaining. I'm like, oh my god, like pick a struggle. Are we good or are we bad? Like
We're
we'll
so back.
I mean, a lot of that is like people are very reactionary to manga
It's also
chapters.
like the series is kind of balancing both romance and sports, which are not two audiences that mix very much, right? So I feel like there's a decent amount of people that like one of those things, and when the other thing is the focus, especially if when the other thing is the focus, it's not like peak.
Usually, I see people getting frustrated with the romance
The
aspect of it.
romance, yes.
I think side characters have been getting a bit of focus recently. Not that's what people aren't complaining about the side characters getting focused specifically, but more like how that's happening. I don't know any details, but you know.
It's like I don't think it's been bad, but it's also like I don't know at what point we're hitting like end game with this plot line, or if we're just gonna kind of like go around in circles for a bit. I think it's kind of how it feels right now.
Right.
And I do think Blue Box has at times had an issue of kind of overstaying its welcome
Kind of
with
like
some of its plot points.
flounders around a little bit.
Yeah, like once it gets to the payoff and the conclusions, it's always done pretty well. But it's definitely had a few times where it's had some sort of plot line or something that it's just stayed on for entirely too wrong.
If it always like kind of comes back in the end, I wonder if it's like more of an issue with the editorial department, like sticking their noses into the series.
Maybe.
Who knows? I guess I'll know. Well, I mean, I guess I won't know, but I'll understand more of why people get upset about things. I don't know.
I
A lot
also
of
don't know if like there I'm sure there's a background aspect to it with like a lot of the editorial stuff of they kind of vaguely know how long the series is supposed to go or like what remaining plot points we have. And so it's like, oh, could we extend this a little bit just to, be running for a bit longer?
yeah,
I don't know, maybe not. I could just see that being a thing where it's like, oh, we only have like two major story arcs left. So what if we spend a little more time on this story arc just to like try and really flesh it out? And that could be a double-edged sword. Sometimes that could like really work and you really actually flesh out that section, or sometimes it could be like, yeah, we are now like spending double the time we should have here.
yeah. It's always it's interesting whenever like, yep, we only have this amount of arcs left, and it's like, oh boy, I wonder like, are they gonna be like really quick, or are they gonna flounder around? Like, what are they gonna do with?
It's like that day that we argued about Oshinoko ending.
Yeah, we'll get to argue about the ending real soon, because the way it's looking, we're gonna have some words. I don't think we're gonna
So I
agree.
haven't actually seen the last like the chapters since our conversation.
Yeah, so I think the chapter since our conversation was a massive fucking waste, whether or not it actually happens or not. But we'll talk about that whenever. Well, I mean, I guess we won't, because Spat will be here. I don't know. I
You
mean,
and I will probably
yeah,
talk
we can
about it
still discuss
whenever.
it.
It might not necessarily be on cast, but
So we had 4 chapters left before the end. They may as well have said 3 chapters left, because this most recent chapter didn't mean jack shit. They were
good to know. Good to
boosting
know.
the numbers for the volume count or something, dude. Because like it was a very nothing burger chapter in my mind. Like not even like on a reactionary level, more like on a like who gives a fuck about this chapter level. But I mean, we'll see how it fits into the whole by the end of it, I guess, or we won't, and I'll be upset that it ended poorly. I don't know. It's just
If what it's worth, I just remember us having that conversation. I'm like, at the end of the day, you guys are probably right, and the ending is probably gonna fumble. But I was like, I don't feel dissatisfied at the moment.
I think by the time it gets to the end, I'm gonna be rather dissatisfied, which is very unfortunate. I gotta like stop liking manga because every time I feel like I really like one, like it ends and then the ending's like mid.
Something happened.
It's either mid or ass ending. So Medalist fans, watch out. I don't know if our GOAT author is gonna fumble the ending, but with my track record, that might be the case.
It's a strong possibility.
Attack on Titan ending ass, debatable depending on who you talk to, I guess. But you know, Oshinoko was my favorite for a bit, then overtaken by Medalist. Even that couldn't save it from the ass ending allegations. People were not really liking Kaguya's ending. Uh, Kubo's ending was alright. It's like very Kubo's like a very typical rom com that I wish would have went on longer than like they got to the confession and that was the ending. It was very wasn't like a very satisfactory ending, but I don't know.
I'm
We'll
reading
we'll
the
see.
Oshino code chapter as we speak for fun.
There's not all you're gonna get to the end and you're like, yep, that was a chapter, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I do feel like in the context of our conversation of like, is 4 chapters enough to tie everything up?
That
I'm
chapter
like,
definitely
this
didn't
is a
help.
nice chapter, but it did not help the timeline of like, oh,
We
we only have this many chapters left
it's like
to fill stuff up.
yeah, it's just not. It just didn't need to exist. Like especially like, if we have 4 chapters, I'm expecting like things to be happening because we're at the end. It just feels like it's gonna flounder for that chapter, and then the last 3 chapters are gonna be like. I mean, we have to like actually get some movement next chapter for sure, based on how this one went. But man, what's even worse is if like the author doesn't commit to what they are seemingly doing right now with the last 2 chapters, then like that chapter that we're talking about right now especially doesn't matter, which is stupid as fuck. But we'll see.
That
But
is true. This chapter only really matters if we full send.
yeah, if Akka does not full, I don't know. Akka he kind of fumbled. I didn't mind Kaguya's ending that much. It kind of like it was not great, but I didn't like it. Didn't
It was
I don't know.
alright.
And he like
Like
gave
it
him
didn't feel offensive to me
yeah, it wasn't
in
like
any way.
it was mid arc or whatever, but it was like fine, you know. And then we got like a little bit of time to do a send off for all the different characters. But this one just feels like fuck, dude, I'm done. We're done. Oshino over, I guess. It's Oshinoko
I just
over.
hated talking about that conversation with Mars, and he's like, okay, but what are they gonna do for my side characters? And I'm like, they're not the issues right now.
I feel like every time like Mars and I are like tangentially on the same side, it's like just a step
He
forward for
says
him that I'm
something
not
that,
taking. I'm like, hold on, guys. Like that's not me. That's him.
yeah, you're sitting here and you're like, hold on, guys, we need to finish up stuff for like major characters like Ruby, Kana, Akane, right? And Mars is over here. He's like, no, no, we don't have time because Miyako needs some
It's not
stuff.
even just like that. He said Frill. I'm like, my brother in Christ. Like
He
Frill
did
has
say
been in
Frill.
like 2 chapters every now and then. Like it's she's not
He
important.
said Frill, and I was like, what the fuck does Frill have left? Come on now, let's be serious.
Frill was just a character that existed. She was never like she's just like the token friend character. You're not gonna see the end of a token friend character.
Yeah, like it's fine to like those characters, just understand that
You're not gonna get a
in this
character arc.
context,
She never.
yeah, in this context, we do not have the time or the need to give Frill half a chapter.
Yeah, like next he's gonna bring up like Ruby's other friend, the pink hair one. I don't even remember her name. Like,
The model
yeah,
starts in M, right?
I'm pretty
And
sure it starts
Minami?
with it. Yeah, Me. That's probably it.
Minami,
But like, it's
yes.
just not. She's not important. Like, who gives a? Like, I don't
She's
remember the
cute.
last time we've seen her. Right? She's
I
just
don't remember the last time we've seen her.
yeah. I don't know. She's just not important. Anyway, we'll see. I don't want to be, because I was very critical of the manga during the previous arc before this one for good reasons. But I did feel I was like being reactionary at points, which I don't want to do because like weekly manga chapters are like takes 3 to 4 of those for like an anime episode, and even then, like you gotta let shit build. But I don't know. I haven't had faith in the story's direction for a while, and then it started to recover a little bit for me, and now it's fumbling again, and so I don't really know
No.
how to feel about it.
It's like I love going like reading my weekly chapter of like One Piece, for example, right? And going to discussion threads and be like, oh, what are people talking about here? And part of that is because the One Piece community is like starts theory crafting and talking about stuff like that, which is like fun and specific to that. But there's a lot of these that I feel like you can also get stuck in. Like, I read my weekly chapter and I'm like, it's all right. And then I go to like see what people are saying about it. And everyone else is like, no, this shit was ass. And then I'm influenced, right? And there's like some validity to that on both ends. Because if I'm influenced, there probably is legitimate reason behind why I would be like, you know what, they're kind of right. But also, like, there is at least something to be said um, for the fact that, like, when I individually read the chapter, I'm like, I'm pretty satisfied with this.
Yeah. It's just a difficult spot. I think I'd be more like patient with how Oshiniko's going if it hadn't like fumbled around for a while. So
I think that's fair.
I think the previous arc like really, because if I think of like every arc at Oshinoko has led to something like the end of that arc leads into the next one, and like there's something major under like, I guess spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Oshinoko, but obviously like episode 1 I guess could be like its own arc, but obviously at the end of that kickstarts the entire story. And then Aqua goes to act in like the TV drama, and that TV drama leads him to get into the, what's it called, the reality dating show, and then that leads him to the theater, and the theater leads him to his like where we are now basically. Like it's just, I don't feel like the last arc connected anything. I
Yes.
feel like we went into it like it was like a culmination type thing, like yeah, this is supposed to be like a big arc, really important. And we go through the arc and I'm like, we're kind of just like we're walking around, we're doing shit. And then we get to a major moment in the arc. But what that major moment does is make the rest of the arc really awkward, and like, and it's part of the reason I have problems with the way the ending's going right now. It just felt like nothing felt like it had impact. Like we had major moments that just didn't do anything. We didn't do anything with them. We had major moment and then major moment gone. Like, all right, wrap it up. We're good. I don't know. I just feel like whatever they're wanting me to feel right now is just not hitting.
Yeah. Well, and that was kind of a little bit of like the argument that you, me, and Mars had a little bit, where I was like, I really like this specific plot points that were in this chapter. Um, and I was upset that Mars was like, no, this was shit. And then you were like, I don't feel like this was set up well. And I was kind of like, I think that's a valid point to bring up. Because they're like, thematically, all these things I like. But if you want to say, like, oh, I don't think the previous arc did enough to, like, really buy me into this, then I'm like, okay, I can't argue with that as much. It's
Yeah.
just like,
I've always been one that like people like to parade like thematic whatever around. I think themes have importance, but I also think they're overrated to an extent. Like I think the ending of Attack on Titan really hit on its themes, but I fucking hated the ending because I don't think it was executed well. It's not always about like, yep, here's the theme and we're like really executing the theme, but it's like, how is the theme executed? I had I had this argument in whenever I went on the Castaway anime podcast for their end of the year award thing,
mhm,
when we were beating the shit out of Zom 100 as like a group of 3 versus
nice.
2. They were talking about like themes, and like Zom 100 had really good themes, and we're like, who gives a fuck? Like, That was very satisfying to be like, yeah, these are like really basic themes that were executed on a really basic level, and it's just like, it's just not. I'm just not on board with like the way they're doing things here. And
Yes, I think themes, not that themes only matter if they pay off correctly, but like themes are only necessarily as like strong as their setup. I
yeah,
think
like
is where
you
I would
can
agree with
have a
that.
main idea to your story and like get to that main idea, but if I get to that main idea, I'm like, that was fucking stupid. Like then you failed. You've done the wrong thing. Like I don't know. Like a lot of like shonen stories, it's like, oh, friendship is magic, which is great and all. It's like a fine message to purvey. But a lot of them do it in like very like bog standard ways, and so it doesn't. That's when people are like, "Oh my god, the power of friendship!" Like, who could have guessed? That's what makes people groan and roll their eyes at that type of stuff. You need to understand like, how do I like Vinland Saga? Killing people is bad, but like the way Vinland Saga approaches this idea is very different and very like intro because like the entire first season is like killing people's badass, and then you get to the end, it's like, oh fuck, maybe not,
And it's
and
like,
then
oh,
season
that's
two is like killing people's actually not that cool. You know what's even cooler? Not killing people. And so it's the way it's done is like very different, and it's very impactful because it like unwraps a lot of ideas around the concept of the main idea, maybe opposing concepts to the main idea, and how those might be valid in some capacity. Like, if you don't fight, then how do you protect the things around you against the people who are fighting? There's just it's a lot that happens, and it takes a lot to set
mm,
up, and that's why Vinland Saga is regarded so highly. But when you have something like this, where, I'm like, okay, we're setting the story, we have this really uncomfortable arc in Oshinoko, but I'm sure Aka is just setting this up because he's going to, like, unravel this and make it so, as awkward as it was, everything turns out okay in the end. But we just never really touched on it ever again. Like it happened, it kept getting weirder and weirder, and then it's kind of like all stopped at once, and
and
then
this is where you and I had
it's
a
not
fun
addressed.
conversation. I remember because I was like, well, what do you do for that arc?
I don't know what you do,
Which
but
I'm
like
still not sure. Like when I brought that up, it was very much a conversation where it was like, I'm just gonna challenge you a little bit for fun because I don't know what you do either.
honest to
But
God, like, and this might be like a point against me, I guess. I don't know what you do, but like in the end, he set it up. That's not my problem. Like
yeah,
he set up what like something that like this story has been going over psychological themes for a long time. And so you put someone in this very like fragile, like questionable state of like their actions, and you kind of like brush it off as like a good thing. Like I thought they were going to take it and be like, "You know what? This actually isn't good." And it's
yeah,
like they
it's
haven't
actually
done that.
bad.
Yeah, it's like we are not just gonna take this like very serious like issue for this character and turn it into a gag, are we? And that's kind of what it's seeming. Unless the last three chapters, they got to do a lot of lifting on that like point. I don't know. I can't like get too much in the spoilers, but it is annoying when I talk about like I haven't said on Twitter like I hate this plot point specifically, especially if it doesn't get resolved. But like there are people out there who obviously like, oh, this is actually based and you're like a tourist if you don't like it. I fucking hate anime. Twitter's so stupid.
It's more
Anyway,
interesting to in context. I think I even said this when we talked about it before. I was like, that is probably one of the few characters that I'm like really sitting on because I'm like, surely, you know, there's a few characters that I'm like, okay, I know we only have 3 chapters now left, but there's a few characters that I'm like, surely they get their stuff right.
I just don't know if we can satisfactorily like
Fill all of
end.
them,
Yeah,
which is true.
I feel like 3 chapters gives you enough to like maybe do a character or two, maybe if you're like really stretching it. But like you either have to have like an extended chapter in there somewhere, or like you really gotta you gotta pack these chapters full of shit. I just don't think that's gonna happen. I think the ending is gonna happen. It's gonna end, and it's gonna be extremely unsatisfactory based on how things are going right now. if we would have had like a real chapter instead of whatever we got for like this past Wednesday, I would maybe have a better idea of like where we are and where the ending stands. But I don't. Like I'm like fuck. I'm like
I think that's
I
kind
don't
of
have
fair.
I don't have like the big question from last chapter answered like technically. Even though I
As
think
much as I do feel like I liked the newest chapter, I don't think it did what we needed it to do
I
for the
think if
fact
we
that we
got
only
that
have four
chapter
chapters
and like
left.
just didn't if we got that chapter and I didn't know how many chapters were left, then I'd be like, that was an alright, that was a fine chapter. Like
Yeah, you're like, okay, this is
could be
kind of
good
nice.
even. It's like a
Yeah.
little wrap up for this serious moment that we're in. But
But
now it's
knowing
like,
that we have like limited time
yeah,
and we're
we have
spending one
three
of those
chapters,
chapters on this is
and
like, eh.
yeah, you're spending it on something that like is overall not very important and like kind of not even like symbolic. It's just like literally like kind of like a it almost feels like forced like pity towards this
Mhm.
character. Like, hey, you know, look at this. Isn't this like? Because the beginning of that chapter, that sequence is like, look at this, how sad this is. Ah ha ha.
Yeah.
And then you get to like the character part of it, and even I don't think we really needed that character part because I feel like I don't know.
The
It,
character part was
it,
only odd because we had like the whole like
yeah,
debate about
we
like
had a discussion
that character.
about this, but I don't feel like the way they just explained
Don't
it
feel
like
like it satisfied what
satisfied.
your issue was. Yeah.
I feel like Akka introduced this like concept and he didn't know what to do with it, and so it kind of like just flopped here. Um,
It does make me wonder a little if there's some maybe mistranslation issue somewhere, but I don't know because I don't know Japanese.
yeah,
Um, so all I can do in that case is rely on like hopefully the translators
Press the
did
allow button to
oh fuck,
their
verify you're
job
human.
correctly, right?
okay.
Press the allow
Oh
button
my
to
god,
verify.
what is this? Okay, viewers
Uh-oh.
probably just heard something. Uh, I was trying to like
Uh-oh.
open the chapter and there's like a captcha thing that popped up and it had a text to voice thing that's like press this button to prove you're human. I'm like, okay, buddy, I give up. You win. I'm not pressing the button. Let me go into this
You are
instead.
not a human.
Uh, let's see. Let me go to the end of this chapter here. Let me get to the dialogue part. Oh, this is a completely different language. Son of a bitch. Okay. Why is it impossible? You know, this is literally like a free chapter online, and it's not like the first option to pop up when you search up.
The tough scene.
Alright, there we go. This is Oshinoko on Manga Plus. The thing that I can read it for free on. Okay, let me scroll to the bottom here. So you have like you have the early dream sequence thing, and then you have like this character introspection, but like this doesn't feel like it satisfied either of our arguments. If it
I
like
would say
settled,
that's fair.
it's settled
Yeah.
in this awkward in between that like, because there's points against both of us, but like I don't feel like anything because I mean it talked about what I was bringing up before, like
Trying to
very
debate if
directly.
us just saying it is spoilery. I feel like it's not.
Okay, you know what? This is
Because
like
so our argument, I think if we frame it this way, it's fine. Our argument was essentially in Oshinoko, the character Aqua, is that character the same character as Goro? The so if you watch episode 1, I guess this would be a spoiler. Or if you didn't watch episode 1, but otherwise, I mean if you listen to all this Oshinoko talk, surely you've watched episode 1. Is Aqua the same as his past life, or are they separate entities entirely?
let me even put it like this,
And like,
just we
what
don't
are the
even
implications of that?
just so we don't have to pussyfoot around this. This is the end of the episode for anyone who hasn't read Oshinoko chapter 163. But we can all right now we can talk about it a little bit more openly. If you've not read chapter 163, now is your time to click off. You basically got to an hour anyway,
You're pretty
so
much,
I
yeah.
don't feel that bad about it. But yeah, you have 3 seconds to leave before I start spoiling the ever living shit out of the end of Oshinoko. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I look at this chapter and we get to the point where Aqua's talking with Crow Girl, and what I feel like at the end, like on a technical level, that's supposed to help your argument, but then I scroll up a little bit, and this guy's still having identity issues, like at his deathbed, and so it doesn't feel like he truly satisfied anything in his head, and
Yes.
so
Which is interesting because my argument was essentially the chapter before we were looking at things, and I was like, well, to me, this was one of the first moments that like the character Aqua and the like person Aqua has made a decision that felt like a purely Aqua decision and not like a decision influenced by Goro.
yes, but I still think the way everything happened felt pretty influenced by by Goro.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the
And I
day,
mean, and
like
I mean, to be fair, there's always going to be some influence, right?
the reason this
Um,
happened is directly because of the influence that was from Goro throughout the entire series. Like he was led to this point to crash out because of what he was aiming for the vast majority of this manga. Um, and it's just like I don't feel like this is I feel like this is just not satisfactory for Aqua, right? As Aqua,
yes.
I feel like him if he doesn't survive this, which I don't think he's going to, based on this chapter.
I
Just my
think based
personal
on
opinion.
this chapter, it would
It'd be a huge cop out to
at this point it
not.
would feel like a cop out. I
And
think maybe
so
going into this chapter you could have gotten away with something that'd be like, okay, maybe a little eye roll, but
I think the last couple like panels, like they gave this man the double spread. He's cooked. He's
yeah.
definitely cooked. Um, I don't know. I just don't feel like this is satisfactory for him. I don't feel like it's satisfactory for the other characters because I feel like this opens a lot of awkward character holes that we're never going to see filled because we have 3 chapters left, and so they're just going to be like, yep, and this is how this character felt about it at first, and here's a time skip, and now here's how they feel about it now. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
well,
here's how they feel 20 years later when we see Aqua reborn. I feel like I'll say it also. If the series ends with like Aqua did die, but then Aqua is reborn in any way, shape, or form, I'm disappointed.
I would be extremely disappointed if he was reborn. Like, that
I
just
don't
needs to be.
care. I don't care if
I'd
it's
rather
like
him live than be reborn at
yeah,
that point.
I don't care if it's like they wait until like after Ruby also died and then like somehow had all three of them be like Ruby, Aqua, and I be reborn as triplets or something just so they can be together or something like that. I don't give a shit. If in any way the end of the series involves Aqua staying dead and then being reborn, I feel like I will be disappointed then.
Yeah. I think what like really annoys me about him dying, besides the fact that I feel like his character never got a chance to be Aqua, um, it takes everything we've set up for side characters for like the entire manga and just kind of like throws it away for the sake of this emotional ending. It's like the
Yeah.
spectacle over the storytelling. I've said this before for other endings where they're like really trying to have like the banger ending, and then in that like in that quest for the banger ending, like they just fucking ignore
Just
everything
lose
they've
it.
done
Yeah.
to this point. Like why even bother having Kana in the story if in the end like her story, her like toil over time didn't mean anything? You know, why have uh Akane in the story at any point to go through all of this stuff with this character, and then like at the end it didn't really. So there's actually something Ajag brought up. He said he predicts that like if Aqua survives, that Akane is actually going to save him, which I think might make a little bit of sense based on they kind of set it up a little bit. Or I don't remember what chapter it was. I have to look at the exact wording, but Akane was talking to Aqua, and she's like, my job right now is to like stop you from doing some crazy shit to your dad because that would be not good.
Yes.
And so I wonder, well no. I don't even know if it can happen because she was out there. Oh, I don't know what the timeline is cuz she had to do like the fake stabbing thing, right? So where I
Yes.
don't know where she is in relation to him, timeline or distance wise, like anything like that. I don't know. I just I can't see him making it out of this without something stupid.
I would agree.
I don't
And
know.
that's why I feel like I would rather we just full send.
I'm gonna be disappointed no matter what happens. It's basically we either just wasted a full chapter on a fake, or
I think it's kind of fair. I don't know. I will stay delusionally optimistic for at least one more chapter.
I just don't.
See where I am in a week or two. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, we only have one chapter now, and now we still all have this stuff to do.
Yeah, it's just because like in this chapter even Aqua's like, damn, I just caused like a major issue for people around me, didn't I? And then Crow Girl just kind of like brushes off like, yeah, that's kind of
Yeah, that is true.
like, dude,
She
who
was
cares, you
kind of
know?
just like, well, it's
Nah.
fine. You did your thing. She's like, you kind of cooked. He didn't cook.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if you're gonna like, because he stabbed himself, then threw dude into the ocean or whatever. Just stab yourself and then throw that motherfucker into the ocean. And if you're that's like your game plan, right?
Hmm.
I don't know. Because either way, uh, I don't know. I think I can approve if it was fake.
I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, autopsies are weird, and like crime science in general. Like I think of that, and I'm like, I could definitely see them just marking that off as like a general like double homicide or
Because
something like that.
I think like Nino, right, who tried to stab
Hmm.
Ruby but actually stabbed Akane with a whatever. Like she's gonna spill the beans on Homeboy anyway, right? And so in theory, if Aqua stabs himself and then pushes Bro off the cliff and then like gets medical attention, like who's not gonna believe him? I mean, like there's no way to like dude's body is in the ocean, the knife goes into the ocean, so there's not gonna be like Aqua's fingerprints or whatever on it theoretically.
Yes.
Like you can't like no one's around to witness it. What is there to prove at that point? Like you have a lot of character evidence against one person and not against another. And you have absolutely no physical evidence to like stop or like make a proper investigation, I feel like on the other. Like you just have to have like like interrogate them and hope they confess at that point. I don't know. I feel like this ending's just really awkward and I don't
I would agree with the fact that right now it feels awkward.
I don't see a road to satisfaction for a lot of people. Which is like I think the most important thing in an ending. It should just be like a satisfactory like stopping point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We'll see. 3 chapters. I don't really have an idea of what those 3 chapters could have, but
I don't either. Like fuck, where do you even go for this? Like how do you hop into like this? Because like they gotta find his body if they're gonna like know he's dead, right?
yeah,
So like you just time skip and like oh we can't find this guy. Like I don't I just don't understand. I don't know. 4 chapters I don't feel like is enough. Or three, fuck, 3 chapters I don't
three
feel like is
now.
enough.
Yeah,
I didn't think 4 was enough, and now I definitely don't think 3 is enough. I don't know. I think that from probably like 123 on, like I feel like we've been floundering for like 40 chapters, and it's just we're reaping the consequences of that action.
yeah, I think that's fair. I'm okay if the take is, um, we've kind of just been not
We've
doing the
been going
thing.
through the motions instead of doing the
Yeah,
story is basically how I've felt for a little bit, and then there's been like good moments sprinkled in there where I'm like, okay, we're getting back on track, we're getting back on track, and then we didn't get back on track, and now we're here. I'm like, fuck, dude, like, well, I don't even know what to think at this point. It's just so. This is my problem with Attack on Titan as well. Like, I enjoyed like 90, like 5% of Attack on Titan. It's like those not even 95, like over. It'd be like 98% of Attack on Titan I enjoyed. but then like the last like 2%, the last like number of chapters, like 132 onward, I was not a big fan of. And now it's kind of like the same with Oshinoko, where like for the vast majority of this manga, I'm like, this shit's gas, and now I'm like, ooh, like I don't know what to think about this. I don't know. I just want a manga to have an ending that doesn't suck, and I think that's not too much to ask, but apparently it is.
I'm free to read Fire Force.
Yeah, I'll get there eventually. Where did I stop Fire Force? 235, I think. 236.
I reread. I did this week reread the like last couple arcs of Fire Force. Last arc, quote.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that happens at the end of Fire Force, and I'm like, you could probably divide this up into a couple arcs, or you could make the argument that it's just like, yeah, this is like Act 3. I guess is maybe the other way to put it. Still gas.
Yeah.
Still
But
excited for season 3.
that'll be the end of this here episode. If you enjoyed, then remember to like, comment, subscribe, rate 5 stars, all that good stuff. If you're on the YouTube side of things and you'd like to go to the audio only, then just go onto whatever relevant podcasting platform and search Is the Order an Anime Podcast. We are the only one. Same thing for audio only to YouTube. Is the Order an Anime Podcast? Can't possibly miss us. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST. There will be a new episode out for you to enjoy, unless there isn't. So, yeah. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.